Okay, so the rig that I've been using loads lately, it's like a margin rig, but with a difference. In this day and age, we're all about using bulks, short hook lengths, pinning the line, pinning the float against the bank, something like a 4x12 or 4x14 Tinks or 4x14 Fury, bulk 4 inches from the hook, 6 inches from the hook, pinning the bait in position and waiting for a fish, that trap setting style. That's great when there's loads of fish to catch and you're just trying to combat the fish swirling around in the edge and the disturbance that creates moving your float around. However, in spring, sometimes a bit more finesse is required. You need to be a bit more cute with what you're doing, and that's where this rig comes in. Perhaps you're fishing in 3 foot of water is quite a good depth at this time of year, rather than in the summer when you're looking to fish in 15 inches, 18 inches. Now we're looking to fish in 3 foot, maybe 2.5 foot at this time of year. And some of my recent videos, you'll have seen me fishing in 3 foot of water, moving into sort of 2.5 foot later in the day when the fishing's got good. And it's been really, really good, and it's been effective, and it's been working really well for me. Now, I just want to say that this rig is best when you can find a slope. So something that's, I'm just trying to do it on the camera, something that's pretty gradual. It works on a steep slope, of course, but I try and avoid fishing on steep slopes if I can help it. But you do want to try and plumb up and find a slope to fish this rig on. It is at its best when you're fishing on a slope, in my opinion. You can fish it almost flicking out past your pole tip and letting it drop back in, but on the venues I go to, you're fishing on nice, steady slopes, and that makes this rig perfect. The reason is we're fishing, picking a spot with a far bank marker, finding 3 foot, and then allowing the rig to swing in. So you're flicking it out into the deep water, holding a tight line on your marker and letting the float and the rig shot up. So it's almost on an angle. If you can imagine my finger there, it's like that, and your bait is somewhere down the slope. But because of how we're going to shot it in a minute and how we plumb it up, it means that the hook bait and the float are always tight, but they're down the slope a bit. So nothing, it's just perfect. As soon as a fish touches it, dunk, you're going to get it. And it's the perfect presentation at this time of year. You flick it down the slope so nothing can interfere with the fish feeding. Your kit's well away from it, but everything importantly is tight to it. So as soon as a fish takes it, single corn, double corn, almost like a little mini anchor, is there, ready to dink it. Perfect. Now you need the right float for this sort of fishing. Now in the summer I would want to be using a Fury, no doubt about it, but at the moment when I'm fishing this style, this 3 foot on the slope style, then a Cypri is the #1 choice. The reason is it's got the right diameter bristle. I'm not saying that it has to be a Cypri, but you want something with, this is a 1.7 bristle, and I personally think that's the perfect choice for this because the corn registers on the bristle. The corn, if it's off the bottom, will not sink the float, but it'll take it down to a dot. Likewise, if you're too far up the slope, the full bristle will be on show. So I'm shotting it up to the base of the bristle and then allowing the corn, when it's dragged into the slope, to sort of pull the float down to sort of halfway along the bristle. I know I'm fishing perfect when my float is sat halfway along the bristle when it's in position. So I'm flicking it out down the slope, allowing it to come in, settle in against that slope, half the bristle is showing, and I'm absolutely just, it's perfect. It's almost critically balanced. As soon as the fish picks it up, little dink, and it is a dink as well. You're not waiting for, you don't seem to get loads of liners with this method. We're feeding it quite cautiously to just try and attract one fish at a time. I know that's said over and over again, but this is especially true with this. And so I'm literally feeding 2 or 3 bits of corn and a pinch of micros, and that is it. And I'm flicking it down the slope, and I'm trying to critically balance it so as soon as that one carp takes the bait, it's going to be on. And that Cypri 4x10, it's been perfect. It's been absolutely perfect. So I just thought I'd run you through this rig super quick and how easy it is to tie. So on my rig, mate, I've already got it loaded up. We've got 017 power line, which is just a great choice for this kind of fishing. It allows me to use 013 and 015 hook lengths. I'll even use 011. I have been using 011, but 013 is preferable. We've got a Cypri on, 4x10, as I mentioned, absolutely perfect. And I've got a couple of gadgets. I'm going to show you more about that gadget on another video because I love this gadget. But I've already tied the loop in the end with the loop tie, the Sensus one. You You can use a ringer's one, you can use a Preston one. This one I've had since I was a kid. And I just use good old-fashioned long nose pliers. I've had these since I was an apprentice. Just, you can use shop pliers, of course you can, but I've got these, so this is what I'm using. I've got Reeve ones as well, which are great, and the new Preston ones are great as well, so whichever one you choose to use really, but they're my favourite at the moment. Right, so critically, this is shotted up with number 10s. So number 10 shots in the rig, mate. So we'll get a couple of them, and it's going to take 4 of them, 4 number 10s, plus my grain of corn is about perfect. So let's just wet this, slide it up out of the way. So the float's up out of the way now. And then my first shot is going to go on the line down there, right on the hook length. Now, one thing I will say, I'm not bothered about having that far away because I don't think it really makes that much difference, but that, in this instance, I am going to put it right next to there. So 15 centimetres above that, I'm going to put my next number 10. So the light's not great in here. I'm doing it in my kitchen. The kids have taken over the living room. So we've got another number 10 there. We're going to have another number 10, 15 centimetres above that. And then 15 centimetres above that, we're going to have our final number 10. Now you may need to put a trimmer on it. You may need to put like an 11 or a 12 or a little stot on there just to trim the float up. But you want that corn to register on the bristle, so I don't want it dotted down too much. And there we go. So we've got my 4 number 10s, I've got my float. So in a fishing situation, this would be a little bit higher. Obviously the float would be at 3 foot, which is where this rig's at its best. And then we've got the shot evenly laid out at 15 centimetre intervals there. And that's perfect. Now, what I'd have on there is a 6-inch hook length. I would have, let me just slide that up here. I would have a 6-inch hook length on that. I've been using B911s recently. It's the hook I always used to use. The reason is I don't have any GPMs, I'll be quite honest with you. I love GPMs. I've only got B911s at the moment, which is a bit lax of me. But they're great anyway. I've got loads of them. So we've got a 6-inch hook length on there, like I say, 0.13. And critically, what I want to is the plumbing up. So I'm looking for that slope, that gradual slope. I don't want anything too steep. I want it to be just trundling off. You can imagine, so you float, you can imagine your bait's going to stick on the slope. If it's too steep, I think the bait would tumble down. But I want to find somewhere that's relatively just a nice steady slope where the bait will stick. But there's a chance as well that the bait could totally go. So I'm never overfeeding my bait, my swim. Plumbing up, important. I have 4 rubbers on my night eye wire stems. So I actually plumb up. I have a rubber right on the body of the float, and then I have one probably 1.5 inches below it. That's where I'm plumbing up to. So you've got the bristle, the body, and about 1 inch and a bit of the stem sticking out the water when I'm plumbing up. So I'm probably 2 inches over depth, but then I can obviously toy with it where I'm going to drag it up the slope until I find that position where my float is sitting halfway at the bristle, which is what I'm after. So perfect. That is the ultimate rig at the moment, I believe. It won't be long until we get into some serious margin bagging where we've got to use bulks and stuff. But this rig, this beautiful like curved, and I know Jamie Hughes talks about the curve so much, and he's dead right. This beautiful curved setup is just perfect. I absolutely love it. So there you go. That is the rig. It's a lovely little setup, especially for spring corn. It works for hard pellets. It works for meat. Just a great little rig. Very simple. But the key thing is that 1.7mm bristle to register your hook bait, be that a 6mm pellet, corn or meat. This sort of profile works well. Those 4 shot equally spaced. They could be 9s. They could be whatever you want to take your float. But I just think that allows you to be in perfect contact with your float at all times when you're laying it on that slope. 6-inch hook length rather than a 4-inch just allows you to be allow you to position your rig on different parts of the slope without interfering with your shot and your bristle too much. That's the reason for the 6-inch, and that's it. Nice durable main line, match it up with the appropriate hook length, appropriate elastic, and you'll be onto a winner. This is a great rig for that kind of fishing. I absolutely love it.